review some stuff.
Now! Right. Warm your voice up.
La, 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 la.
Right, what are we doing? Vest.
I've got very few notes this week, Kev. I tried. It seems like I have to either really love an album or really hate an album to make notes.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? It's always the problem. It's like, well, yeah, it's all right. $1 billion babies. $1 billion babies. That's the cover. It's a wallet, I think. It's a snake wallet.
Snake skin.
Snake skin wallet with metal clip. $1 billion clip. So this is the next one after the other one. School's Out. I mean, this is the one I'm not going to have much to say about, I think, is the thing. They're really quite a big band by this point. That's probably the commercial peak, I think. It was maybe Welcome to My Nightmare or Trash eras were bigger, I don't know. More good songs. There are good songs on the album. I don't like it as much as School's Out. Production is nowhere near as good. It's like a messy production. I think there's like we can get the real sound of the band, the real raw energy of the. So it just doesn't sound very good compared to the other one. For me, this is about the singles, whereas the other one was an album. I like to do the whole album. This one's about the singles, and there's other songs on there that aren't as good as the singles. Generally, as a general rule, but it's all right. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Copy paste.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fairly typical, really, isn't it? I mean, after you do a really good album, what do you do? I mean, so I think they said $1 Billion Babies is about them.
Yeah.
In the sense that everyone wants a piece of them now because they're really popular and stuff like that.
Yeah. So suddenly they get the hangers on and all the rest of it.
So that does a couple of things. So the thing I liked about the last album was the lightness of it.
Yeah.
It was sort of really, it was just fun. You could tell they were just doing stuff that they liked. It didn't feel like there was any pressure on them. And then it turns out to be good. And then how do you follow that up? First, you got the things that how do you follow up a really successful album? You got the Dark Side of the Moon syndrome.
Yes.
Pink Floyd pulled it off.
Yeah.
But not many bands do. Because suddenly people are listening.
Yeah.
And that sort of, okay, someone's actually going to listen to this.
Yeah.
And they're expecting it to be good.
And that breaks it.
Yeah, it puts a bit of pressure on. Also, you've probably got some accountants in there looking, you've got to ring certain bells.
Yes. It's
got to have this track on there. It's got to have this on it. It can't be any longer than that. It can cripple a follow-up album. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's probably more often than not that in those circumstances, the follow-up album is still a successful album.
Yeah.
But it's not so much down to the music, it's more down to momentum.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be their biggest album.
Yeah.
Whatever the
and you'd have to say this is not a failure by any sense of the word. It's actually a perfectly good album.
Yeah. Of good songs.
Of fairly decent songs.
Yeah.
But it's not stand out, is it? It's not like it's a little bit meh.
It's the next album, isn't
it? It's just like, okay, that's not like me. I mean, it's fair. I mean, the previous album was, so you had this sort of like wide variety of music, yet it was cohesive. Where this is cohesive, but it sounds cohesive because it sounds more mushy. It sounds more samey, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit disappointing. I didn't know No More Mr. Nice Guy was Alice Cooper. I've obviously heard the song.
But you know the song, yeah.
Yeah. And I probably don't know it's Alice Cooper because I'm not that taken with it. But that's probably the biggest song on the album, I guess.
Yeah. That or Elected or $1 Billion Babies, I would assume.
God, Elected.
That was the big single.
Was it?
I think.
At the time?
I think so, yes.
I would imagine No More Mr. Nice Guy has probably been used in adverts and films and stuff. That's probably why.
Yeah, it was in Dazed and Confused, the movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. The subject matter is more autobiographical.
Yeah, typically.
Which, again, raises problems for an album. I mean, most people aren't very successful musicians in a band. So where do you find the themes that people can relate to? Now, Pink Floyd did that very well with The Wall. You know, it's the story of the musician feeling disconnected from the wall, but those feelings of alienation and stuff like that are fairly universal.
Yeah.
Alice Cooper isn't going to go to those depths.
Well, no.
So, you know, where are you going to find, you know, the themes that are really going to... You're not, are you?
The themes of the album are, well, there's one about rape, and there's one about necrophilia.
Yeah. Which you can pull off if there's something else going on. I think
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either it's got to be really, really, really good, or you've got to have something there, something to hang it on, or something.
Yeah. So for me, this is a really... this has sold bucket loads, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But for me, it's a bit meh. It's a bit like... It could have gone in our bland episode, I feel.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, it would be... Obviously, it'd be later Alice Cooper we would do that with, but yeah, probably. Because
it's sort of...
I do find...
It's a big album, but it's actually...
It's a skipping album.
Yeah.
You skip to the good songs.
I mean, I got started, you know... I got bored around about $1 Billion Babies, actually. You know, listening to all the way through, I actually found... I was listening to the next album. It was sort of like it automatically played through sort of thing, and I hadn't noticed it. Yeah, no, so obviously I wasn't really listening to it. So it took me a few actual listens to get through it, which is not a good sign, I have to say. Yeah. Compared to the last one, which was awesome and Killer.
Yeah, Killer's great as well.
Yeah, Killer's great. So yeah, a bit disappointing, really.
Yeah, given it's actually the big one.
Yes.
Yeah. The commercial clip.
Facts, please.
Facts. The facts are, I like Hello Hooray, and I like Elected, and $1 Billion Babies, and No Mr. Nice Guy. Maybe I Love the Dead. It's good. Sick Things. What's interesting is a couple of those famous songs I know from singles. Now, I don't listen to singles. I own about 6 singles, and 2 of them are Alice Cooper. Obviously, I must have gone through a period of actually buying singles, because I think they're almost all from exactly the same period. I've got Hallowed Be Thy Name live single from Iron Maiden. I've got The Memory Remains.
And the memory remains.
Probably a bit later, actually. And what singles have I got, Sam?
Sweet Child of Mine. What's that single?
No, that's like 87. Yeah, okay. Well, I think I've got about 6. I can't think what they are. And I've got Lost in America and It's Me, singles from The Last Temptation, which is the album after his second big successful period. You know, the one after Hey Stupid. And that had B-side live versions of these songs, so that's where I know them from. So No One Mr. Nice Guy, and Sick Things, and $1 Billion Babies, I think. Elected as well, and those weren't good representations of the songs, actually, so it was nice when I heard the album and there were good versions, so that's cool. Sick Things was sort of baffling, the live version. It was just pointless, but on the album it's really good.
How come you bought The Memory Remains as a single?
I don't know. The Memory Remains.
I mean, I
wasn't going to buy Reload.
Well, I suppose it is one of their better songs.
It's the best song on Reload, isn't it?
Yeah.
It must have been I'll buy singles now, so there's the single that's come out this week in the charts. You know me, I'm a dedicated follower of fashion. He was brought up in a really religious situation. He wasn't brought up in Detroit. I think he moved to Detroit. I can't remember now. And it's Alice Cooper, and he was religious kind of thing. He's not the first person to sort of not follow their parents, you know, and too much is made of that, obviously. But it is funny that his church, that was like, you know, it was the community church. It wasn't just, you know, people who go to church. It was the thing and all that. And they didn't like his music. They actually reacted badly to what is he doing? And I think it may have been only once he was successful they didn't like it. They didn't mind when it wasn't successful, kind of thing. Which, you know, doesn't surprise the rest of the world. It surprised him. So the song No More Mr. Nice Guy is actually kind of a fuck you to them, saying, well, what do you want? All right, this time I'm going to write about rape. I'm going to write a song about necrophilia. Screw you. So there are actually songs on here about controversial subjects, rather than just horror. Because he thought he wasn't doing anything to offend them. This was a waste of time. But these are people who are perpetually offended, aren't they? I mean, that's what it's really about. And now, of course, it's different now because the people who are perpetually offended are offended by the people being offended by the people being perpetually offended.
Actually, offence in music. It's
so
not
offensive.
It's not a thing anymore, is it? I never hear of big controversies.
No, well, I mean, now, you get Donald Trump and I don't know, whoever.
There's so much offence in the world.
Complaining about Alice Cooper. And, it's disgusting, this album by Van Halen. That Frank Zappa must be stopped. It's interesting, isn't it? But you'll listen to it now, that's why, isn't it? Like I said, the production kind of sucks, really. I don't like it at all. It's this Bob Ezrin thing. I don't quite get the Bob Ezrin thing. School's Out seems fantastic because he's capturing this rough band into this wonderful sound and it sounds great. But, the first Peter Gabriel album sounds terrible. And it's not just the engineering, it is like the mix and stuff. There's $1 Billion Babies, the bit I really like, the do, which is a tiny bit neoclassical, and it's also a bit Addams Family, and I really like that bit. But in this one, he talks over it, so there's him singing in the background, and there's also him talking over the top. There is a quad mix, interestingly. So I wonder if that's the problem: is that they tried to be too much and couldn't manage it. We talked about James Randi last week, but that's actually this era. This era is the big stage show and all that stuff where it really started. I think it's interesting to compare it to Black Sabbath because the horror thing, Alice Cooper is explicitly a horror thing, isn't it? It's horror movies and Alice Cooper, and that's a thing. And Black Sabbath aren't that, but they're named after a horror movie. It was Geezer and Ozzy standing outside somewhere and seeing people queuing to go in to see a horror movie. Allegedly going in to see the film Black Sabbath. I don't quite believe that. And so I think Geezer was saying, isn't it strange that people pay to be scared? Oh, well, let's make scary music. But musically, this is so different. It's 70s rock music, but it's so different. It's vaudeville. There's no social commentary in Alice Cooper, not really. And I assume his take on it will be, well, this is just entertainment. I'm not here to make a statement. And actually, you can argue the real comparisons come later because it's the Ozzy thing, the Sharon Ozzy, 80s, which was probably nicked from Alice Cooper. When Ozzy was hanging the dwarf every night and all that stuff, it's Alice Cooper, isn't it? Where he's got that from. Black Sabbath didn't do anything like that, But yeah, so very successful. Probably meant the end of the band. Although there is one more album. Is it 4 eggs? It might be 3 eggs.
3 or 4, I'd say. No, it's the bland thing, is it?
Yes.
It is actually good. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, so it would be harsh to give it 3.
Yeah, it would be quite harsh. I think it is 4 eggs.
Yeah, okay, 4 eggs. But yeah, so there is another album by this band. It's called Muscle of Love, so we're not doing that because that's disgusting. So we're going to do Welcome to My Nightmare, because obviously it's interesting, it's different, etc.
Exciting.
See you next week.